Hello, I am the Grin, and joining me tonight is the lovely
Amari.
Welcome to our podcast, a place where we do not shy away from the gruesome details, where some things may be triggering and hard to hear. Listener discretion is advised, so get yourself in the right space of mind and let's talk about dark shit.
Sorry, I was mimicking you.
I'm just very pumped, you know? In case you hear it, which you probably will, we are still recording on the same day. We are still surrounded by our furry friends, one of which he is very loud. He's currently napping right now, but because of his little nose, he's
a Frenchie. Frenchies have no noses.
Yeah.
They're flat-faced.
Oh,
yeah, that's the reason they're so loud.
But we will let him be because he seems to enjoy our podcast. He seems to be relaxed.
He's like, this is very soothing.
This is very soothing. Okay. So again, we're just going to jump right into the case today, Amari.
Let's go.
Okay. Today we will be talking about the Lillelid. Today we will be talking about the Lillelid family.
Lillelid?
Lillelid.
Spell it out.
So it's Swedish, but people seem to say Lillelid. I am so sorry because I'm butchering this name. But as somebody who is not Swedish, Lillelid is what I assume is how it's pronounced. Okay.
Does it start with the L, or is it actually an I, and it could be Iliad? Lillelid.
Wow, no changes
That's
at
what
all.
it looks like.
Wow, no changes at all. Okay. So the family consisted of Vidar, the patriarch of the family, whom immigrated from Norway to Florida sometime in his 20s. Here, he met Delfina, who was the matriarch of the family. The couple married in 1989 and welcomed their daughter Tabitha the following year. In 1995, they welcomed their son, Peter. Their little family was growing, so they decided to relocate to Knoxville, Tennessee. This is where they would eventually purchase their dream home. Vidar worked as a bellman at a Holiday Inn Cedar Bluff in Knoxville, and Delfina was a stay-at-home mom. They were also devout Jehovah's Witnesses. On April 6, 1997, they attended a convention in Johnson City, which was about 100 miles from where they lived. After the convention, they traveled back home on southbound Interstate 81 in their 1987 Dodge minivan. At around 7 p.m., the couple had stopped at a rest area. Vidar was with Peter, while Delfina and Tabitha used the restroom. Here, Delfina had bumped into a friend whom also attended the convention and was heading home. While Vidar was waiting, he saw two girls come out of the restroom and asked them if they believed in God, to which they responded no. Two guys joined the girls, and Vidar asked them the same thing. They also responded no. Vidar then asked if they would like to learn more about God, and one of the young men said yes. Vidar then headed to the picnic area with 20-year-old Joseph Risner, 14-year-old Jason Bryant, 17-year-old Karen Howell, and 18-year-old Natasha Cornett. When Delfina and Tabitha got out of the restroom, they joined Vidar, who was explaining the basics of his faith. Joseph then went to his car, where two other friends were waiting for them, 19-year-old Edward Mullins and 17-year-old Karen Howell. When Joseph returned, he pulled out a handgun and pointed it at the family. He explained that all he needed was their car and they would be okay. Joseph ordered the family to get in their van. Vidar pleaded, but Joseph was serious in hurting them if they did not comply. Vidar was forced to drive out of the rest area with Natasha, Karen, and Jason and Joseph in the car along with his family. Edward and Crystal were following them with Joseph's car. Joseph had wanted the family's car as soon as he saw them enter the rest area. His small car he wanted to ditch and wanted something with more space. And this poor family had stumbled upon a group of very troubled teens who all had troubled pasts. Broken homes, sexual, physical, drug, and alcohol abuse was something they've all experienced and shared. 2 days before this, the group were at a motel where they had burned 666 in the carpet and performed seances and satanic rituals. After the motel, they left for Natasha's home, where she told her mom that they were going to start the Armageddon and that the end of times was near. On Sunday, April 6th,
I want to interrupt you real quick.
go for it.
She told her mom that she wants to start Armageddon. Did her mom do anything or say anything?
So I'm going to get to her relationship with her mom here in a minute.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Amadi just wants all the answers immediately, but unfortunately today I will not give you the answers, Amadi. I'm going to slowly spoon feed you them,
That's
okay?
okay. I'm just very impatient, I
I
guess.
know you
I just
are.
always want to learn.
I know you are. On Sunday, April 6th, before running into the family, the group went to a police officer's home where Jason distracted the officer. There, the group broke in, stealing 2 handguns, ammunition, and $500. Natasha Cornett was desperate to leave home. From a very early age, Natasha had claimed that she could see angels and demons, was obsessed with witchcraft, and would refer to herself as Satan's daughter. Her name spelled backwards, spelled Satan, which was further proof for herself that she had a connection with the devil. She had threatened to kill her mother on numerous occasions and wanted to live out her favorite movie, Natural Born Killers. As a child, she started drinking and doing hard drugs like heroin, ecstasy, and cocaine.
I blame her parents. They started this with giving her that name. They knew what it spelled backwards.
Okay. I wasn't going to say anything, but in their parents' defense, I didn't know that's what it's spelled backwards. Until I read this case, I was like, oh shit, that does spell backwards. I was like, dang, what does my name spelled backwards say? I started spelling out everybody's names who I know backwards. I'm like, what kind of shit is this?
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, so...
You know what? I'm sorry. This is completely like off, but have you ever heard of the show called American Dad?
Yes, I have.
There is an episode, I want to say it's a Christmas episode, and the older kid, Haley, she gets married, and they're kind of known as bums, her and her husband, and the husband adopts a toddler, like out of nowhere, and he named him Nemo. And then it turns out that he's the Antichrist. And then later on in the episode, after they find out that he's the evil one, he is like, oh my God, Nemo spelled backwards is Omen. He's the evil one. They're like, wait. But you're the one who named him that.
Oh my God.
Sorry, that just remind me of that. Was hilarious.
Okay, I get that now. Okay, now I'm going to, whenever somebody is going to have a kid and they tell me the name of their kid, I'm going to be like, have you thought real close as to this name? Make sure you spell it backwards. Make sure you find out the meaning.
I've always just thought of the nicknames. I never thought about, what is this spelled backwards? Satan.
I'm like, what in the world is this? But yes, going back to your question, there was always tension between her and her mother. Her mother was basically non-existent in her life. When she was still a toddler, her mom had an affair with another man, and therefore she left her husband, which was Natasha's biological father. She moved into an old ramshackle of a trailer where she raised Natasha as a single mother. And I say raised very loosely because she was always non-existent in Natasha's life. And neither was her biological father or the man who would become her stepfather, whose last name she received on her birth certificate, which I was very confused about because she was
How old was she?
How old was she when what?
How old was Natasha when the stepfather came into the picture? Because the
She was
father.
still a toddler.
Okay, so then why do they change the last name unless the father was really like her biological father was just like he was just done. He's like, no, you're not my child anymore. Like I give up my rights.
I think he said that assuming that Natasha's mom, Madonna, which was her name, um, was one of those women who enjoyed the company of other men frequently. So he
But that's
probably
a
just assumed that,
baby.
yeah.
That's your child, though.
I mean, that's what we say, but to some people, it just doesn't click in their heads.
I guess that's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's just kind of weird that he let because I'm pretty sure you have to have either the other parent has completely abandoned that child or actually just said like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, change last name. So I'm guessing completely abandoned.
I'm guessing so because she did state that he was never part of her life.
Okay.
But I mean, she lived with her mother and she was barely part of her life too. So
A poor
that's the
child.
kind of home that she was raised in. She was very close to Karen. Karen, who had also belonged to a broken home, claimed that when she was a little girl, she was sexually abused by her uncle and her cousin. She frequently used hard drugs and was obsessed with the occult. Joseph was the oldest of the group and was described as a good student at school. He actually was very good academically up until his mother and stepfather's divorce. He turned to alcohol and then everything went downhill for him. He was dating Natasha for a bit, but then started dating Karen since Natasha had left him and was now dating Edward, the other member. Edward was the one who had the most sane life out of the group. He had a part-time job at a grocery store. He was working towards getting his GED up until he met Natasha, where he fell in love immediately. Then his views started to align more with Natasha's, which I already explained Natasha's views about Satanism, Armageddon, her being his daughter. Very odd, strange views, probably. Jason was the youngest, but had already had multiple run ins with the law. He frequently used drugs and alcohol, and his emotional and social skills were extremely underdeveloped. He let Natasha carve her initials in his arm to show his strength to the group, and after that, he was welcomed. Crystal was the newest member. She was also a very good student, but suffered a lot of neglect at home. In 1996, she accused her stepfather of sexually abusing her, but was instead kicked out of her house and forced to fend for herself. She met Natasha, who offered her a place to stay, and soon became her friend. So, yes, every individual, aside from Edward, broken homes.
What exactly do you mean broken homes?
Just rough childhood.
Okay, rough childhood. Okay. Because usually people correlate broken homes to parents that are not together anymore.
I guess I always see it as like that or parents were there but not really there.
Okay.
And then they just turn towards, like in that one girl's case, she just turned to alcohol and drugs. Natasha.
Broken children.
Broken children. There you go. Thank you.
That's sad.
Yeah. They were all.
And they all just because what? Oh my God, what's it called? They all trauma bonded.
Yes. Yes.
This is
good term
all
right there.
trauma bonding.
Yeah. Because it's something they all shared.
Mm-hmm.
So at around 9 p.m., 2 911 calls were made explaining that they heard gunshots on Payne Hollow Lane in Greenville. When Deputy Jeff Morgan arrived, he saw a blue Chevrolet abandoned. This car was Joseph's. The car was empty and the plates had been removed. In a ditch next to the car, they had found 4 bodies. 2 adults, 2 children. They noticed the little girl made a slight movement And then they immediately called for an ambulance, and she was immediately rushed to the hospital. The little boy had turned over and let out a cry, and the deputy carried him up until the ambulance had arrived. It was believed that the family was lined up and was shot down one by one. Bidar was the first one shot. He was shot in the right eye, and when he fell in the ditch, he was shot 4 more times. Delfina was shot in the left arm and left leg. Then she was shot another 6 times. It is believed that although she received multiple gunshot wounds, she was still alive when her kids were being shot down. Tabitha was shot once in the head and died the following day. Peter was shot once in the head and was shot again in his right ear, and the bullet exited his right eye. When they were trying to leave the culprits, the Chevrolet was stuck. So that's when they decided to just abandon everything, take out all their stuff, and rush off with the van. But they did not leave before running over Bidar and Delfina's body with the van.
Oh my God, so much happened.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. Although the plate was removed, the VIN number was still in the car, and police were immediately able to trace it back to Joseph's mother, who claimed that she hadn't seen her son in 2 days and had no idea where he was. But she had a feeling that he was with the group he was always around with, and she gave the police everybody's names. On April 8th at around 5 p.m., the van was stopped at the U.S.-Mexican border checkpoint in Douglas, Arizona. When they were asked who the car belonged to, Joseph just shrugged. After failing to answer questions and showing proper documentation, they were arrested and sent to the local jail. Here is when they searched everybody, and it seemed like all the girls kept souvenirs. So in Natasha's case, she kept a picture of Tabitha. In Karen's case, she kept a little Hello Kitty lock that belonged to Tabitha. And then the other girl kept a little locket that was also Tabitha's.
I don't know what to say. I think that's weird.
Well, I mean, in some cases, when they kill somebody, they keep the souvenir. So I'm assuming this is just a souvenir, like a trophy.
Was it a trophy, or was it because they're girl, or because it was girly things? They're girls, and so they wanted to steal. Is it trophies or is it stealing?
But the picture of Tabitha.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. If there's a picture. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It does sound more like trophies.
To me, it did. Then they were transported back to Tennessee when police realized who they were and realized that they were all wanted. District Attorney Barkley Bell saw to the extradition and explained that he was pushing for the death penalty for the 4 adults in the group. And the 2 minors, Karen and Jason, he wanted life without the possibility of parole. But the trial would never begin because all 6 members eventually pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. But the details on what happened on April 6th would never be known. All 6 members were given 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, and another 25 years for Peter's attempted murder. All 6 to this day remain in prison despite the appeals for Jason and Karen, who were underage at the time. Those appeals have repeatedly been denied. Peter, despite numerous challenges in his life after the incident, went on to live with his father's sister in Sweden and eventually moved back to the U.S., where he married and started his family.
Jeez.
Amari's face right now. Sorry to kind of.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
They did a lot.
It was pretty horrific. Well, not. It was very horrific.
Wait, and how old were these so-called adults again? What were their ages?
The group?
Yeah.
So Joseph was the oldest. He was 20. Then there was Natasha, who was 18.
Okay, because it threw me off. You said adult. That's still, okay, young adult. That's like teenagers still.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy.
It is. But I mean, in the eyes of the law, technically.
Yeah, you're an adult, but
Yeah.
it's just no. I'm just saying it because like it's crazy because they're still children. They're teenagers. They're still children, and they're able to do all that.
Yeah. I mean, but them coming from where they came from, not making excuses, but there was definitely hatred in their hearts. And
That is true, but like I've said before, and I've always had conflicting thoughts on this, it's just that when you're young and you've been through all this like hell and shit like that, when you grow up, some people they have like that like sense of like, oh shit, I should not be like this, and
yeah,
I
I get
need
that.
to create better for myself, kind of thing.
Yes, because there's some people who go through everything that they did go through, which was pretty horrific, but grow up and know better not to go out and kill a whole family.
Yes, exactly.
So yes, you are right there. So,
But for all of them to just like still keep that hate in their hearts, like because of their childhood, and they never clicked, you know, that little like button in their head where it's just like, hey, stop thinking like this.
to me, that one girl was the one that interests me. Like
Which one? Oh,
Natasha.
Satan.
Natasha,
That's all I can think of for now. It's Satan.
the alleged daughter of Satan.
It's so stupid. Why would you even think of your name backwards? Like, oh, it's true. See, because my name spelled backwards. That's what it spells. It's true.
I didn't even think about that until I read the case. I'm like, what the?
Who thinks of that?
Yeah.
I would never think of like spelling a name backwards to see like shit. Satan's in my name. This is my future right there.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just I don't know.
It's
That's a mental
odd.
issue right there.
It's odd. You're right. You know what? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because like that movie. Oh my god, what was that movie? Really long time ago with Jim Carrey, and I think it was called 23 or 26. I think maybe 23, where everything he went through this like mental issue where everything was connected to the number 23. You never heard of it?
No, but that immediately took me to that one case you talked about that one chick who was just breathing hard and connecting it all to a number.
The stalker in
Arizona.
Oh my god, it's Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot her name. I'm horrible with names, but yeah, that one. Yeah, because she correlated. I think what was it? The number 4 that she correlated everything to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so something about 4, and then her eyes. She had the crazy eyes, and oh my gosh, that was intense.
Her heavy breathing. Yeah, her. No, that's what it reminds me of. Just like once you obsess over something, like for example, a number, everything is going to connect to that number because you're obsessed. So of course, everything is just going to like make sense now or not make sense, but you know, in your own mind, it's going to all make sense.
Yes, that's pretty insane. You're right. I feel like what made this case very disheartening is that the only thing Vidar wanted to do was just talk about his faith with a group of kids.
That is true.
That's all he wanted to do. And in the end, he met a very horrific ending.
You know, when you first started it, I actually thought that he had somebody else that was going to like do horrible things to the kids or to the teenagers.
Vidar?
Yes. That's how I thought it was going to start off. And like, nope, it did not turn that way.
No, it did not. Yeah, and it was so disheartening too because they traveled all the way to Johnson City for a religious convention. They were going to church, and then they were going back home.
Yeah, that is sad.
That was really disheartening. Like, if somebody asks you if you believe in something and you don't, just say no and walk away. Just what in the world that...
Well, they didn't go after him because of his religion.
No, they didn't.
Or of his views. So it had
Joseph specifically wanted his car.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with them wanting to, or it had nothing to do with him wanting to talk about his faith. It's just because they were psychos.
They were.
So basically what you should be saying is don't talk to other people.
Don't talk. What I'm saying is when you go to a rest area, watch out.
There you go. Be careful. Be wary about rest areas.
Look around your surroundings.
That's been a known tale though for like many years.
Yeah, definitely. But yes, I just wanted to bring one to the podcast and introduce it. That oh, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but I was on and on going in the beginning about talking about cases that occurred on Halloween night. This did not occur on Halloween night, but it's still pretty horrific. And the fact that that one girl kept going on and on about being Satan's daughter, I just was like, you know what? I feel like this case is fitting.
I feel like you need to name this case. Satan.
What a weirdo.
It's mental issues. They've
Mental
all should have been
issues.
checked.
Yes. Well, all of them growing up how they did, they needed some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They all needed help.
They needed some help. They needed to, and some proper professional help, because that's insane.
I agree. You're not wrong.
But let us know what you think. And remember to follow us on our socials. Again, we're not going to stop bothering you about that. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you share our episodes if you like them, and let us know if there's something specific you want to listen to. And with that, remember to be well,
Be safe.
and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.